Now we're live. Please tell me. You know what? If it captures that face for a thumbnail, I'll be very surprised. Hello, everyone. I'm live. We're live. I'm gonna say we're live, even though it's a team of one, right? I'm gonna open this can. I'm gonna open it up. Oh, listen to that. If only it was beer. If only. I'm getting a hangout message. There we go. Let's close that. That was very convenient that, get a message. Yes, this is, by the way, GLS episode 20. Yeah, July 1st, 2015. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done this show. I mean, it's been several months. It's tough. Why do I have the Q&A feature on? You know what? Just for funsies, I'm gonna have that open. Just for funsies, I'm gonna have something open. I'm gonna have that open as well. I'm charging it though. Excuse me, jeez. Coke makes me gassy lately. I don't know what's going on. You know what? While my friend's here, I might as well plug it in. What? So rules on tonight's show. While a couple of minutes here for people to warm up. To warm up here. We're going to have headlines, article, then we have two articles on the other side of intermission. Because that's how we roll. 5-1, and then we're going to have a break. I think it's a 5 break. Type that in here. A 5-minute break. And then we're going to have 2 more articles after that. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of talking, but you know, I feel that the show needed to be more worth. It needed to be more worth it, I think. Anyway, that's just my opinion, but it needed to have more substance to it. And I think having this extra show, I mean, of course, if people want to be more extra show, then that'll be what it is. I'm gonna give me 1 second. I'm gonna go kill this real quick. Then we're gonna get started because we're running late. All right. The show begins. It's 10 o'clock. I'm gonna start recording. Hopefully that worked. Yes, that did work. We're going to start in 3, 2. Whoa. Holy crap. We're beginning in 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Jiminy Christmas. Welcome back to the Generic Live Show. This is the Generic Live Show for July 1st, 2015. I am your host, of course, Dale Campbell, delivering your weekly dose of genericness from around Australia and the world. I'm delivering two for the price of one today. You know, it's double shot Wednesday, as the fine folks in call it. The fine folks of no one. That's fine folks of no one. We already have a show title already. It's fantastic. Hey, welcome back to the show. It's been way too long, and I thought to celebrate, and this is kind of a thing that I wanted to do right up the front here, to say thank you everyone for your support over the last couple of months. It's been rough, but you know, we've made it through the other side. We've made it through alive, obviously. We needed to do a few tweaks to the show and a few other things as well to get back up on track. But most importantly, you're getting a full hour of Dale. I can't put it any other way. It's a double shot GLS. It begins right now. A full hour of Dale begins right this second with the news.
On to the news!
Yes. News! Beginning with internet users in this fine country of Australia could be across the web after a controversial site blocking laws passed Parliament late on Monday. The Copyright Amendment, in parentheses, Online Infringement Bill of 2015, passed with bipartisan support in the Senate after passing in the lower house last week, with just a handful of crossbench senators standing up against the laws, saying that would introduce an internet filter to Australia. The bill will allow for copyright holders such as film studios and record labels to apply to the federal court for an injunction requiring all Australian ISPs to block websites, quote unquote, locations facilitating piracy. Rights holders must satisfy the court that the quote unquote primary purpose of a website is to facilitate copyright infringement. Further, the court can weigh factors such as whether a site operator has a quote-unquote disregard for copyright more generally, as well as the fragmency of an infringement that it allows. And of course, we're going to talk more about this story on the second half of the show in about 35 minutes time. 30 to 35 minutes. No one's counting at all. Apple, though, are counting. I don't know what that segue was. Apple's Force Touch trackpads haven't done a whole lot in official apps besides fast scrolling and shortcuts. But they will do considerably more if you grab the latest version of GarageBand. As of the 10.1 update, you will be able to use the pressure-sensitive pad on the newer MacBooks and MacBook Pros to vary the strength of certain tools. If you want to subtly finesse a track only with your finger, now you can. There's also a big upgrade if you were an aspiring DJ, since both virtual mod pads as well as gobs of new dance and hip-hop friendly audio kits. You can now check out all of GarageBand's new tricks for free if you already have GarageBand. Not hard to do if you have a relatively modern Mac. Or it'll cost you $5 if you're completely new. In sadder news, though, Greece is in the grips of a debt crisis. I don't know if you're aware, but just funding under a rock all this time. I mean, it's hard to keep up with the news these days. And there are talks that they will separate from the European Union. At 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, it became the first developed nation to default on an international after the midnight deadline expired, with the country access to existing financing. Holy crap, I'm very gassy today. The default comes after lengthy talks with European creditors failed to find an agreement to extend their funding. Greece could be forced out of the euro, which is unprecedented and could have ramifications for the global economy. So, instead of waiting to see if the Greek and European leaders find a solution to this crisis, I mean, that could take months and maybe even decades, depending on what we're talking about here. A 29-year-old British man, Tom Freely, formed a crowdfunding campaign to provide Greece with the money it would need for a bailout. This is so cool. However, the campaign encountered some trouble when it became so popular, it crashed the crowdfunding website Indiegogo because Kickstarter. I mean, there's only so much you can do with Kickstarter. I mean, you could do some stretch goals. Currently, users try to visit the Indiegogo campaign. They're taken to an error page. However, at the time of this reporting, it is back up and running. Okay, jeebus. It is a fantastic Indiegogo campaign. I really want to find the link and put it in. It is an amazing thing to be reckoned with. Speaking of amazing things to be reckoned with, drones are an increasing force to be reckoned with. As a 25-year-old woman was shot by a small 2-pound drone at the Pride Parade near the corner of 4th Avenue and Madison in Seattle. The woman is in okay condition, but apparently the pilot of the drone fled the scene, as you do. The police have photos of the man, but have yet to release them to the public. Quote, witnesses describe him as an unshaven white male in his 20s, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses and shorts. End quote, according to the Seattle Police crime blotter. An unshaven white dude in shorts and a baseball hat in Seattle. Sounds like they're going to have to round up half the city. Luckily, the description gets better with the following tidbit. Quote, he also reportedly had a noticeable tattoo of a woman somewhere on his body. They'll find a guy like that in no vivid description like that, no doubt. Finally, in the headlines, a robotic, fully automated machine is developed in Perth, a world first that could raise a brick shell of a home in 2 days. It can work 24 hours, 365 days, of course, compared to the human variety, who can put in anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks of back-breaking or brick-breaking work for a typical home. Perth local investor Mark Pivac and an aerodynamic and mechanical engineer says his interest in the idea of developing the robot was sparked during Perth's bricklaying crisis in 2005. Quote, people have been laying bricks for nearly 6,000 years, and since the Industrial Revolution, they've tried to automate the process of bricklaying. Mr. Pryor told Perth now. Robot brickies, the future of home building. Yeah, that's a title that says, excuse me. Quote, we're at a technological nexus where few different technologies have gotten to the level where it's now possible to do it. And that's what we've done. Hydron, the robot named after the famous Roman defensive wall of Anacre, which commercialized first in Western Australia, then nationally, then globally. Get this robot can lay 1,000 bricks per hour. It can work day and night. The potential to erect 150 houses in 1 year. That is crazy town, folks. 150 houses in 1 year. That is It's insane, if you ask me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the news. The headlines, rather. Yeah, that's right. Now, to the first section of the show, the first discussion point, the elephant in the room. And, you know, I decided to bring the show back because of this. Before this story came to light, and it's a story that I'm very, very passionate about, because you know what? The media these days are very, very sensitive. They're very sensitive on what is shown and what is not shown. Last week, not this last week, the week before, so that would have been not this last Monday, but the Monday previous, which would be the 22nd. The ABC's Q&A. You can't see it on the video, which is pretty funny. Had a guest on there, a convicted terrorist. A convicted terrorist on the program to ask a question to the panel about the revoking of citizenship after people go over and join terrorist groups such as Islamic State. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say those words out loud, out loud, just in case something like this happened. I lose my right to broadcast to the public. But I mean, they got in trouble for having this person on the program because he said a very, very controversial thing, and I'll play it here. I know it is here. I mean, it'll go through the podcast listeners, but not the what? Okay, here we go. All right, we have the clip here. It is here somewhere. It's going out to the podcast folks, because I don't have my audio stuff properly. But here is that quote. It's coming up here in just a few seconds. Yeah, that is a comment that is landing a bit of hot soapy water. I've got this article here that I'm pretty much just going to read parts of it because it is a very, very lengthy article by The Age. It's going to be in our show notes, of course, like all of these articles are. But the Prime Minister Tony Abbott has come out and said that the Q&A is basically a lefty lynch mob, and that it's very disgraceful, according to Peter Dutton, the immigration minister, and Turnbull as well. Turnbull, the communication minister, is a very, very known quantity, according to Malcolm Turnbull as well. The media is supposed to take the occasional dig in the facts of the case, satiently a voice that has risen to a point that is the most assumptions of the government, and what might be a term of the right-wing lynch mob that is called Tony Jones, head on a platter, they're profoundly apparently, according to this article. According to this article, the media outlet most interested in the matter is the ABC itself, of course, and it has been silenced as the managing director, Mark Scott, crowds before the onslaught. Q&A has not been permitted to defend itself. No ABC program has been permitted to allow Millar to explain himself. Right? I hope you're following me on this journey here of the left media eating itself. I understand that an interview with Millar was recorded on Tuesday and was not broadcast by the order of managing director. I mean, okay. There are. All right, I'm gonna say this before I continue reading this article. I'm gonna say this. All of us, everyone from the the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and people like as well broadcast myself. Of course, we have. I don't really want to say this next sentence because of the whole order it might get me in. Because heaven forbid I make an error of judgment here. But I want to say this. People like the ABC and everyone from independent little media podcasting outlets like myself, and from everywhere, from newspapers such as the Australian, which, by the way, I will get to the Australian. Don't you worry about that. I will get to the Australian, what they've done. But I will get to that. To everyone to the ABC, this is the beauty of live broadcasting. The beauty of live broadcasting is it's raw and it's meant to be natural as well. I mean, live on the internet that I regret, and of course you have to apologize for those types of things. I mean, you holding someone back in apologizing for, and I mean, let's be honest here. This week's Q&A dedicated half an hour to this topic, so we're dedicating an entire discussion point segment on it. But this is a wider conversation, of course, of free speech in the media. I mean, the left doesn't want any free speech. The Liberals don't want any free speech. They want everything to be right down the line. No bad talk about anyone ever. But the free live media is not like that. Free live media is very, very. It's exactly what it is. It's very open. It's very, it's very out there for everyone to consume. And if someone gets up in arms about a comment that was said, then there are implications for that. In terms of such things like Q&A on the ABC, I mean, it doesn't help their live broadcast as well. That they could, then go and edit it out and then broadcast it, which they're doing that. And I'm not sure if the program reruns and that sort of thing. I can't be too sure on that topic, but I mean, I think this. I enjoy the Q&A program, but they should be able to defend themselves. Not to mention, by the way, I really want to mention this. I want to mention the fact that, the fact that Zaki Millar had written his question as well, and had, described what he was going to say before he was allowed on air. That should be a really, really ring-a-ding-a-ling-a-ling alarm that he shouldn't be allowed on the show. And there are probably a number of people who aren't convicted terrorists that could be could have asked that question. And the point of Q&A is to address these issues head on. But I think not a good idea to get convicted terrorists to get them. Now, to the Australian who hates Q&A because they're a left newspaper, for my understanding now in the back pockets of the left is because that's fun. Because they had someone, the editor at large of the Australian, I couldn't recall his name off the top of my head, but that's okay, because that's not my job. My job is to stand here on a Wednesday night and blurt my opinion out and have people listen to it on the internet. But, you know, I mean, they're saying that Tony Jones, I mean, of course, Tony Jones has landed himself in hot water multiple of times because of the opinions that he holds on certain issues and how he shouldn't be weighing in on his opinion, and I totally agree with that. But to attack, here's the thing, to attack a person that didn't have anything to do with the selection of a question that sparked a conversation. I mean, it was the parliamentary secretary who sparked that comment and sparked that conversation. And I don't believe that it could have been prevented from that. I mean, he's not asking the question is probably the top point, but Tony Jones didn't have anything to do with Zach Millar saying those things. But because he ruled the comment as out of order, so therefore he did the right thing to kind of deflect things. Kind of deflect things as quickly as possible. And I mean, he did the right thing, but I mean, it's pushy and shovey. I mean, there's a lot of gray area here. He was on the project last October, by the way. This is Zach Millar saying, "I'm on this program this evening to distance myself from the actions of those individuals, those idiots, those I can't say that word on this show, and those who are given the Islamic and Muslim world and the Islamic community in Australia a bad name, and those who are considering to join ISIS. I hope ASIO is onto you. And I hope your passport is refused, and I hope you get arrested and locked up." He's there advocating for an anti-advocation movement against ISIS, pretty much is what that was. I mean, he has made YouTube videos as well. I mean, the AEST has apologized, and it has made a disclaimer saying that they made an error of judgment, and the full statement is available on their website. I mean, they have made that. I don't believe they should be shutting down the option of their program runners to be saying comments, because they obviously want to say something else. I mean, they're people too. I mean, I've read like on air, and I've apologized for them too. It's like me saying, you know, and we used to put a disclaimer that was formerly in the lineup here on Chef on the Media to say that the views expressed, it was a very politically incorrect show, and that was the purpose of it, was to be politically incorrect. But the point of Q&A is not to be politically incorrect. The point of Q&A is to express a wider range of opinions from people. And the left doesn't want anything. Oh my God, harsh words about people. Oh no, we can't have that. We can't have that at all. Because, you know, it's, yeah, people are stupid. I mean, seriously. Man, I'm gonna get that off my chest for a while now. I gotta say. It's I don't know. I mean, it's free speech. I'm a huge free speech advocate, of course. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm all for speech, but I'm not in agreement that this person should have been on Q in the first place because he did the screening process. I mean, and the person from Australia, the Australian saying excuse me, that the ABC made a huge error. They acknowledge they've made an error, but whether they do something about it's another story. I mean, heck, the Q&A has had audience members throw shoes at the former Prime Minister, John Howard. Why did that name not come to me straight away? But you know what I mean? Like it's rough. It's very rough. But yeah, former terrorists on ABC. So, finishing out by actually reading this article. Holy crap. He's actually served 2 years in solitary trial of terrorism charges. He was 19 at the time. I mean, the man shouldn't have been given a platform with the knowledge of him being a terrorist. There's not really much else here on the article. As we continue, as we move off that, later in the program, Apple Music excuse me, has landed. We'll give you more details on the 30 million songs for free, including Taylor Swift. But yeah. Yeah, it has 30 million songs, but of course, there's always a but. But there's a hefty price tag that comes along with it. That story in about 20 minutes. But before that time, site blocking laws pass Parliament as critics slam internet filter. That story coming up as we continue here on GLS, where we have to take a break, and we have to take a break because I need a drink, and it's a double shot show. I mean, if we're gonna have twice the Dale, twice the everything else as well. No, I don't know. I don't know what that means. We'll be back. It's 10:31.
Hey,
CJ Boat here from Small Screen Spoiler Show and the Geek.io show, here to tell you about my brand new album, The Chronicles of Athalor, The Heart of the Deimos. Do you like post-apocalyptic fantasy novels? Then this is something for you. In this world, I spin a tale of fantastic creatures, vengeful gods, and even a cyborg dragon. Chronicles of Athalor, The Heart of the Deimos tells an engrossing story set in a rich and fleshed-out universe, and it deserves a place on your reading list. Head on over to geek-io.net/Athalor and pre-order the novel now for just $4.99. That is geek-io.net/ATHALOR.
Hey you! Yes, you, fine listener of this program. You can help us become more than what we already are. I know, it's a revolution. Hold on to your butts, because I'm about to give you a URL address that could change our lives. Not really, but it would help us out tremendously if you went over to geek-io.net/support, so we can do a lot more than what we're actually doing now. That website actually has a lot of links on it where you can help us out monthly through Patreon at our Patreon site at patreon.com/geekio, or you can help us out once off by supporting those who support us. But then you can become the ones who support us, who support you, who support us. It's supportception. To continue this supportception, it's in your hands. Go to geek-io.net/support to keep this ever-long cycle of support up. Thank you. This Geek.io Podcast Network program is sponsored by ProXPN. ProXPN is an uber secure VPN that believes you should be able to use the internet how you want to, by encrypting all traffic that goes through it. It keeps your data private, your IP is completely hidden, so your location is secure. It keeps you safe from stupid cable 6-strike rules and more. So say if you live in Australia, much like me, and really want to access and pay for Netflix in the US, ProXPN can mask your identity to make you appear wherever you want to in the world. It's like traveling from country to country, but without the very expensive airfares. Keep your traffic safe. Go to geek-io.net/ProXPN and use the offer code GEEK20 for 20% off the really, really low price, starting at $6.25 a month. We thank ProXPN for their support of the Geeko Network.
Hi, this is JD. You know me from How It Stacks and other popular things that haven't quite caught on yet. But something that has caught on, that would be Think Geek. And everybody loves Think Geek because you can get Han Solo ice cubes, Daleks, sonic screwdrivers. Hell, I'm drinking a screwdriver now, but only because, I love Think Geek. And you can get all of those things except for, a screwdriver at geek-io.net/thinkgeek. And once again, I'm JD from How It Stacks and other things.
Welcome back to GLS episode number 20. This is a double shot episode, so this is why it's a little weird, not gonna lie. Having a little intermission break in between things here. It's 23 minutes to the hour. Holy crap, I can't read time. Yay! 23 minutes to 11 here on a Wednesday, July 1st. I'm Dale Campbell. Thank you so much for joining me, and I need to turn my camera back on. That's how life works. You know how it works here? Roadblocks! I mean, internet blocks! You know, this story actually has been, throughout the incarnations of GLS, this story actually has been through the test of time. I'm not going to lie. We said a bit about it earlier in the program as well. I mean, all right, so I'm going to run down this really, really quickly because we need to get to the actual story by 10 to the hour, just so we can be out of here on time. But I want to run down this really, really quickly. So, under Section 115 of the Copyright Act of 1968, there's going to be a section added in there for injunctions against carriage service providers providing access to online locations outside of Australia. So, a carriage service provider provides access to an online location outside of Australia, and the online location infringes or facilitates an infringement of the copyright, and the primary purpose of the online location is to infringe or to facilitate the infringement of copyright, whether or not in Australia. Of course, would be the owner of the copyright, the carriage service provider, and the person who operates the online location, if, but only if, that person makes an application to be joined as a party to the proceedings. The owner of the copyright must notify A, the carriage service provider, the person who operates the online location, of making an application under Section 1, see above, but the court may disperse on such terms as it sees fit. The fragmentary of the infringement or the fragmentary of the facilitation of infringement is referred to in paragraph 1C above. Whether the online location makes available or contains directories, index, or categories to means to infringe or facilitate an infringement of copyright. Whether the owner of the online location demonstrates or disregard for a copyright generally. Whether access to the online location has been disabled by orders of any court of any country or territory on the grounds of the level or related to copyright infringement. Whether disabling access to the online location is proportionate response in the circumstances. There's only a few more here. Where are we? Impact on any person or class of persons likely to be affected by the grant of the injunction. Whether it's a public interest to disable the online location, whether the owner of the copyright complied with subsection 4, as said above, any other remedies available under this act, any manner of prescribed by the regulations, or any other relevant manner. So, basically, if you're driving down the highway, right? I mean, highways are a thing. People. There are highways that exist in this great land. Think of it as breaking the law, right? Breaking the law is often a frowned upon thing, allegedly. I mean, I shouldn't say that out loud. Whoops! I was actually going to say something that I would have regretted live on the internet, as seen in the section before the break. But in saying that, I won't say that on the internet because that would be embarrassing. But, diverting that really quickly, it's like you're going down the freeway, and somehow, some way, you ended up on the wrong side of the road. But and there's a sign there, right, that says "wrong way, turn back." Wrong way, turn back. You know, you gotta. And then, oh, yeah, this is not the way I should be going. I should be going another way. That's effectively what this amendment is. It's a turn back sign. It's a wrong way. Turn back now. While you still have your dignity, turn back now. You know, turn back now. It's a turn back sign. You gotta put it into context. But I mean, would people turn back and go another way though? I'm not convinced that a turn back sign is really the answer here. As we move on here, Senator Lardham answered that crashed up donors and lobbyists, including right holders and industry lobby groups, had managed to set an agenda on the dangerous bill. And during the process of Attorney General George Burns had an open door to Village Roast Show and AFACT, the Australian Federation Against Copyright Theft. He argued that the bill made it compliance rights for rights holders to seek a large scale of blocking websites, making it so that in the future it becomes routine that sites simply disappear. You know what I mean? This senator is awesome. He said, quote, "Does anyone seriously believe that this scheme wouldn't be expected to further cover more categories of content? Of course it will. It is a scope creep absolutely built into it. It is lazy and it is dangerous." Huh. This person rocks. In addition, Senator David Lunkrum says that the bill is vaguely drafted and aims to protect the right holders at everyone else's expense, which is not how the rule of law is supposed to work. I certainly agree. I mean, this law is pretty much a lazy roadblock. I mean, there's no way around it. It's a lazy a wrong way turn back now sign. And I'm putting that as a show title, a wrong a wrong way turn back now sign. I mean, it is. It is literally lazy, saying that it has some questionable content in it, so therefore I don't know. Maybe we might be blocking it. Well, we'll see. I mean, poo, and it passed. So there's no point. There's no point going into it being legislative as what if this happens? It's happening. It is happening. Help! It's happening. Help! It's a wrong way turn back now sign. It literally is laziness served up on a platter. Right holders, also get this from the CNET article. According to CNET, right holders must satisfy the court that the primary purpose of the website is to facilitate copyright infringement. And by the way, Senator Lioncolm added that online sites and tools such as VPN, cloud storage, and URL shorteners could be mistakenly blocked. Because that's the point. It might, under certain circumstances, I agree with that for. I mean, because in some cases, I mean, you heard ProXPN there, proxpn.com/ProXPN, Geek20 at checkout. I mean, the point of that service is not to infringe copyright, but it might be thrown into that mix because a person might see that is the purpose of it, is to infringe copyright, and that is wrong. That is absolutely not the case. And by the way, also we have about a minute left, but I want to point out that this is not only affecting Australia, by the way. It's affecting all walks of, it's affecting other parts of it's affecting online locations, because it's going to affect servers that are not only based here in Australia, they're going to reflect, other server locations. It's going to be all online. I mean, because it's we as Australia, we as a nation can rule the fact that we can dictate what other countries do and say, oh, we're doing an online location. We're not going to allow that content through our location, because that's against what we think as a country. Anyway, we're going to round this show out with yet another story. Apple Music. There's been a lot of talk lately about Apple Music. Apple is giving you 30 million songs free today, by the way. Didn't know if you knew this. You can stream any of them to your phone or computer like a giddy kid with the keys to a record store. But before you tap OK to join Apple Music, it becomes $11.99 Australian monthly subscription after 90 days. Heed the sage words of Aretha Franklin. You better think. Alternatively, 6 devices can use the service for $17.99 a month. Streaming menus, renting access to music rather than buying albums or MP3s, is an all-you-can-eat buffet that might change the music you listen to. Like all buffets, you're not eating much, really not be worth the cost. But Apple Music is both delighted and confusing. Its Beats One radio station makes it easy to discover and add new music to your collection. But the app doesn't seem to do enough to leverage your existing iTunes library. The Apple's competitive advantage as it plays catch-up to pioneering services such as Spotify, Google Music, and Audio that seems subscriptions surge among people passionate about music. Of course, this is a article by Greg, a follower of the Wall Street Journal, so he's adding a bit of editorial on it. Aretha again. What you want, baby? I got it. As long as I'm willing to shell out $12 a month for the rest of your life. Whether streaming is right for you depends on the cost, your desire to explore new and different music, and your willingness to be part of owning your tracks. Back in 1999, before the iPod was a glimmer in Steve Jobs' eye, America spent some serious cash on music. $80 US a year. That's $112 in today's talk, according to industry analyst Ross Kropnik of Music Watch. In those days, where are we? Mr. Fowler listened to music on radio, and he had friends who gave him albums and wonderful radio readers at sort of at Tower Records. I mean, I can tell you a story about strangers at music stores. I mean, yeah, okay. Full admission, I don't know if I can get it quickly. My cupboard's all the way over there, ish. But there it is, right there. But I had a cassette given to me when I was, I don't know how old. Figure out my age. But I played it on my Sony Walkman. But anyway, the first ever CD, the first ever compact disc I owned, excuse me, was a Smurfs CD, a best of Smurfs. Well, you could argue there were Smurf parodies, but, you know, I digress. And the weirdo at the Dolby News Agency in which they sold me that, yeah, we had a music store built into our news agency. Go figure. Spotify's song lineup is astonishing, but the notable lack of Beatles and Taylor Swift have signed on to Apple Music. Even if Apple Music gets more exclusive artists, you could still end up buying an album or two a year by artists who refuse to stream. Paying $144 let me rephrase that entirely. $144 a year for streaming service subscription doesn't make sense when there are many free sources of music. There's also the radio, or the occasional album is more than enough. When you hear a song you've got stuck in your head, there's always ad-supported services like YouTube and the non-premium version of Spotify. But if you often buy a wide range of music, you can make the economic argument for streaming. About a quarter of iTunes customers spent in the US today about $110 American, or more than a year on songs. Streaming services aren't just jukeboxes, apparently. Apple's strategy is to combine all-you-can-eat tunes with software that watches what you're playing and when and where you're playing it. On top of that, humans recommend their own choices through radio stations like Beats One, which add your own collection with a tap. The end result could be playlists based on your tastes and moods with a little bit of serendipity on the first day. Apple Music's recommendations aren't the best. Remember Ping? Anyone remember Ping? Yeah. My recommendations for Ping were way off, but anyway. It was a really thought out article. But I hear this resounding meh for Apple Music as a service, because as a service, Apple Music just meh. It doesn't too much. It doesn't wow. Hang on, you know what I'm gonna do? Live on the air. Here's what I'm gonna do. I have an iPad here that won't stop doing stuff. Go to music. Let's see what's here. iTunes Radio. What is... Oh, I better not play that out loud. iTunes Radio. See, that's the thing. It's not... How do I... I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how I get to Apple Music. Find an artist, genre or song. That's nice. I know the free month trial of Apple. I'm going to type a song in. Let's go. Shake it off. Okay. Song, Shake It Off. All right, here we go. Taylor Swift and more. Shake It Off Radio. Yeah, got it. And it's going to play Wonderland by Taylor Swift. Fantastic, Apple. I've gone to the music app on the iPad and it's absolutely useless. So that's that then. And you know what? That's all we have time for, people. And that's that. It's good to be back. I mean, I've had a bit of an explosive rant to start off the show, but hey, what's a bit of GLS without an explosive rant? You know, there's not much better than a Dale explosive rant to start off GLS at all. Yeah, that is about what we have time for, of course. Thank you so much for listening to this double shot. I mean, if you want these longer shows to exist for God knows whatever reason, I'm happy to do them. I mean, just let me know, hit me up in the following locations. You can, you know, chefwondermedia.net/GLS, geek-io.net/GLS, gplus.to/generic live show, youtube.com/generic live show, and the Patreon again is patreon.com/geek-io. That's where you can find us. I'm happy to do these longer shows. I mean, they're quite fun. They're talk enriching. I mean, that's what I do. I do nothing but talk for a living. That's going to do it for us. For me, Dale Campbell. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you all on the flip side. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all next week. Bye for now.
You're listening to a program of the Chef Wonder Media Network. For this and other shows, visit chefwondermedia.net.
This has been a geeky.io production. Copyright 2015. Geek.io. Geek and Geek.
Oh my!